Hello, everyone. My name is Samia Ashraf, and today I will be introducing a topic called design systems in Flutter. So, before we jump into the actual topic, let me give you a little introduction about me. So, I do this in every video, and if you're new here, then I'm a Google developer expert for Flutter, a woman tech makers ambassador, and part of three Google led communities here in Dubai and Abu Dhabi. And along with that, I like to share my knowledge by writing articles. So you will find my articles on Medium mostly. And I try to be as consistent as possible. And along with all of that, I'm also a full time developer, mostly working on Flutter. So let us now jump into the topic. So, our agenda for today is very simple. We will start with what are design systems, how we can implement design systems, some of the reusable widgets, benefits of using design systems, and finally, we will um discuss the summary. So, I have done a similar topic earlier, and the reason I chose a somewhat similar topic for today is because I had some people reach out to me saying to talk more on this, to simplify it, and then talk more on it. So that is the reason I have chosen a similar topic. So let us start with what are design systems. The simplest way I can define design systems is, let's say you're developing an app and you have to use a common button. Now, this button that you see here on the screen, this is the button that you will be using entirely throughout the application. Of course, the text will be different, but the design, the rounded borders, colors, and everything is going to be the same. Only thing that is going to change is the text, which here it is press. In some other button, it can be login or done, submit, any other text. And obviously, the on tap is also going to change because when I click on press, it is going to perform one functionality, and when I click on login, I want a different functionality. So these two elements are dynamic, the text and the on tap functionality. And in my application, when I'm using this button, I have been asked to use the primary color. And primary color is, let's say, this color, which is a teal gradient. And this has been defined in some other part of the application because it's a primary color. And let's say after completing the app, as per the requirements have changed, and the primary color has been changed by few gradients. So now what you will be doing is you have to go back to the application and change the color in all of the places that you've used the button, which it's very inefficient, right? It's not the correct way to do it also, because then you will end up spending more time in changing the colors. So this is where design systems come into picture. Design systems ensure that when you use a component that will be later on used in some other part of the application, you can extract this component and make it as a common variable and then use this variable in all the parts of application. So if you haven't understood what it exactly means, design systems are a structured collection of reusable components. So what is the reusable component here? The button, patterns and guidelines. So essentially, this button is going to be extracted and made into a common component. And then whenever I want to use this button, I'm going to just use that common widget. The only thing that is going to change is the text and the on tap. Now, if you ask me why am I doing this? Because all the function, all the code for this particular button is going to be in one widget. And if I want to change the color, I only have to go to this common widget, change the color, and the changes will be applied to the entire app instead of having to change it in 10 different places. So if you still haven't got an idea of what I'm saying, it's fine. We have some examples where we can discuss further, and hopefully you will get a better idea. So yeah, a structured collection of reusable components, patterns, and guidelines. So design systems are guidelines that is used to create consistent UI UX across the app. Because if you're going to build an application without design systems, it is, like I said, you're going to spend more time on modifications. And when a person joins your team, they will have to go through all of the code to understand what designs, what colors, what have been used where. So if you have a dedicated design system, a folder that consists of designs, then it becomes easier for a new member to join the team and understand the code. So this way, consistent UI UX will be created across the app, because when you're changing a color in the common widget, the change will be automatically applied across the app. And if you're going to change it without design systems, let's say 10 different places you have to change, but you only end up changing in 8 different places, because we are humans, we can make manual errors. Then the UI is going to be inconsistent, right? Because you want the buttons to have primary colors, but you have forgotten to change in 2 places. So it's inconsistent UI. Especially helpful when we're working in a bigger team. That is when the newcomer joins in, and it takes him comparatively lesser time to understand the design system. There is no static design component in the app, because of which you will have to spend more time only changing and maintenance. So that is the idea of design systems. Now, how can we implement design systems? Now, I have here 2 widgets. They are both text widgets. One says hello and the other says world. And if you notice here, the styling is the same. I'm using a font size of size 14 and the color is red. But what's happening is I'm writing it in 2 different places. Now, this is a very basic example. If I had to do the same thing for 10 different text widgets, then I have to write the styling, the text style uh, widget 10 different times, which obviously is going to take more time also. So what I can do here is I can extract the text style widget. I can make it as a common a text style variable where the font size is 14 and the color is red, which is same as what I had here. Call it F14 red, and then use it here in the style. Text hello and style is F14 red. So what happens here is that um, let's say 10 different text widgets are using this style F14 red. And now let's say I don't want the red color, I want it to be a darker red color. So I just have to go in this widget, textile widget, and just change it to the the shade of red that I want, instead of having to change it in 10 different colors. So that is basically what design systems is in a nutshell. And also, one more thing is that when we are extracting certain widgets, we need to name them very carefully, because when I read F14 red, I should understand, and also others who are working in my team should understand that F14 red stands for font size 14, color red. You can even make it more accurate by adding bold, no bold, line height, whatever you prefer in the text style widget. So now, the way we have design system, there is no specific way of having, there are no particular rules, fixed rules to create design systems. We can create design systems as per our convenience. So the way I do it is I have a colors.dart file that is going to have all the color constants. or all the color styles, and dimensions dot dart, that is going to have spacing, margin, padding, all of these elements that I'll be using in the application. Text styles dot dart, that is going to have fonts and also text styles for text widgets. Icon underscore fonts, which is going to have icon font styles, icon strings, and SVG strings, anything that is related to icon image. And finally, a constants dot dart, where I will be defining sized boxes. And I will tell you later why I have sized boxes here. And all of these files, you can store it in a common folder called constants or theme or whatever you wish to call it, you can call it that. And it's better to have all of these files in one folder rather than scattering them in different parts of the app. So in my colors.dart consist of all colors that I will be using in my app. Now, of course, it's going to be different for different applications for different people because this is just an example that I have taken. I have a black color, white color, red, and different shades of gray color. And gray 1, gray 2, gray 3 is only for my understanding. You can make it light gray, darker gray, or darkest gray, anything that you wish to call. And this is the place where I will only have color constants and nothing other than colors, just because it becomes easier to navigate back to color, navigate to back to anything that I want. If I want color, then I will only come to colors.dart and I will not go on looking in other files like textiles.dart or dimensions.dart, icon fonts.dart. Always good to have all the color constants only and only in colors.dart. And these are the colors that I will be using in my application. No other colors other than what is defined here will be used in the application. So if I want a different shade of red, then I have to specify it here. I have to give it a name, call it as dark red, and only then use it in my application. I am never going to, you should never define the color in any other file other than colors.dart, only because the reusability will be possible when you define it here in colors.dart. And the reason for that is because the modification, now let's say my dark red is colors.red, a different shade, let's say colors.red 350 or 300. And at some point in the application, I want to change it to colors.red 500. I will only come to colors.dart file and then change it from here to colors.red 500. Nowhere else in the application I'm going to do that, only and only in colors.dart. So that was about colors.dart. Next we have dimensions.dart. Now this is going to consist of all the dimension padding constants that I will be using in the app. Let's say I want some text padding, then page padding, container padding, all of these constants are going to be in this file. Again, nowhere else in the app I'm going to have these constants, but only in dimensions.dart. And the reason is only because the modification is then simpler, and also the navigation to find text padding is again simpler because you know which file to come to. So yeah, if you want to modify anything here, just change horizontal to 15, vertical to 20, and the changes will be automatically applied rather than having to change it in 10 different places in the application. Again, the name here, text padding, is understandable by me, but if you want to give it any other name, that is H12, V15, again, you can do that. But anything that's more meaningful, and when somebody looks at the name they can instantly understand what it is, that would be the best practice to name. Next, we have textiles.dart. This is the file which is going to consist of all the fonts, the text styles that I will be using in the application. Again, I would say that this file is going to be it's the length of this file is going to increase as you progress in developing the app, only because we will be using a lot of fonts in the application of different sizes, different colors, different uh, font weight. So this has to be, again, a very useful file because you will be using it a lot more. Now, again, F14 white is F font 14 size of color white. The text here is of size 14 and color white. And I have also added a font to it called Google Fonts.poppins. You can leave it or you can change the font. You can also add it. And so yeah, this is how the textiles.dart is going to look like, basically consisting of textile constants. Font styles and then sizes, the font weights, and you can even add line spacing there in the text style. This ensures consistent text presentation throughout the app because let's say the button text is F14 white, then again, if you don't have design systems, you're going back and changing in 10 different places along with the button color. You will also, let's say you also have to change the button text. So when you change it in eight places, you leave out two places because you forgot for some reason to change it. So that is going to again create inconsistency in the UI. So that is a reason in the design systems you won't face such issues because automatically the change will be applied throughout the application. And avoid using textiles other than the already defined ones in textiles.dart because then it's just going to be again inconsistent during a modification, and you will simply end up writing more code because if you see here the textile code is actually longer for F14 white. So instead of just mentioning F14 white, you will end up writing all this code, and again if you do it in more places, it's just going to you're going to spend more time on repetitive things. So that was about textiles.dart. We now have icon underscore fonts.dart. And like I said, this is a place where we will be having our icon constants. You can have your SVG string constants, image.asset constants, strings, all of that in icon underscore fonts. Basically, everything that is related to the icon, SVG, image.assets, you can specify it here because the navigation will be a lot easier. And this is going to consist of all icons that will be used in the application. And if you see here, location icon is an icon that is going to consist of the location icon. So again, the naming here is very important, very necessary to have meaningful names because even in the application, when I'm using this, the value location icon, immediately I should be knowing what exactly it is. Back arrow icon, you can use it for your in your app bars in the to go back to a previous page. So back arrow icon, when I read it, I know that okay, this is a back arrow. So always good to have meaningful names. And if you notice, the color here is again a variable which is colors.black, which we initially defined in colors.dart. So this way you can keep on reusing the components and ensure that There will be a consistency in the UI. So yeah, SVG assets, icon assets will be can be placed in this file. And if you feel that the file is getting a lot bigger, you can create a separate file, call it as image assets, and add your SVG assets there, icon assets in that file. So like I said, there is no fixed rules of defining the design systems. You just have to understand what you're doing, and also make sure that the team members understand how the design systems is being built. And also it depends on the project requirements. So yeah. Addition or removal of assets will should be only done from this file and no other places in the app, only because you will be having the constants in this file and nowhere else in the application. So if you want to add another icon, you have to come to icon underscore fonts dot dart and then add this icon and then later on use it. Same goes on with removal. If you want to remove some icon, come back to this file only and then remove it from here. Same applies for modification also. If you want to change the color of back arrow icon, you don't have to do it in all the pages where you have used back arrow icon. Just come to this page, change the color from black to, let's say, white. We also have a white constant color, and changes will be automatically applied. So yeah, otherwise if you didn't have a back arrow icon variable, you will have to visit every screen, change the color from colors.black to colors.white, and if you forget any screen there, it's again going to result in inconsistent UI, because some pages will have a black color back icon, some pages will have white color back icon, which I don't think is the best way to present the app. And not only 10 pages, if it's a large application, you will have more than 25 screens. So think about the time you will be only spending to make those changes. So yeah, you can avoid all that if you have an icon underscore fonts dot dart. Next we have constants dot dart. Now this is something that I use to store the sized box constants. Now, if I don't want to use padding all the time, and if I want to use something very simple, I use sized box. So let's say in my row, I have three elements and I want to add a space of 3 pixels. So what I do is I just use the width 3, that is going to create a space between the two elements. So this is something that I do. If you have a better technique of doing this, that is also perfectly fine. But basically, yeah, this adds space between two widgets, and the height constants adds height between the two widgets. So yeah, any other constant that I want to add, I can add it in this page. But make sure that as the page goes on increasing, as it gets lengthier, you make sure to um, group them accordingly. I mean, sized boxes in one place and other constants in, like, there is a proper grouping and everything is not mixed up, because then again navigating would be difficult. So yeah, size box, input decorations, text form field decorations, all can be added here. Constants dot dart. Basically everything that is not textiles and icon fonts, dimensions, colors, I add it here in constants dot dart. So next, let us look at the reusable widgets. Now, earlier what we saw was exactly reusing the widgets, but here let me give you a detailed elaboration. So let's say I have an elevated button, and the style, everything is the same. The color is, the text is different, however, for all the three buttons. And obviously the on tap is also different. And in my style, everything remains the same except for let's say the edges. The edges are different for all the three buttons. So in this case, what we can do is we can extract the widget into a separate widget, and here I can have dynamic variables. So let's say button text, and I can also have the rounded edges as a dynamic variable. And when I'm defining this button, I'm going to add those dynamic variables here. So for button 1, I have a rounded edges of, let's say, 20 border radius, and here I have 22, and for this third button 24. So all these dynamic values will be added during the styling. So what happens here is that I just have to call the rounded button 3 times, and I don't have to write all the styling code 3 times. So yeah, that is basically extracting and reusing the widgets. I have extracted the widget here. I have some dynamic variables, button text and border radius. And when I am using this widget, I define what my button is going to be for the 3 buttons, separate buttons. Here it's text 1, here it's text 2, for third button text 3. Border radius 20, border radius 22, and border radius 24 here. So what happened is all the styling code is uh, I have saved the time writing all of the styling code, and yeah. So if I have to change the primary color here, I don't have to change for all the 3 buttons. I just go to this extracted rounded rectangular button, change the color, and automatically the color is going to be applied to all the widgets. So that's what design systems is about. So multiple occurrence of a widget with dynamic values. So this widget, rounded rectangular button, can be used in multiple places. Of course, the dynamic with the dynamic text, and if you want 2 buttons to have the same text, that is also fine. But this is the basic idea. Having multiple occurrences of a widget in 10 different screens with the dynamic values. And extract the widget to reuse. So the elevated button in our example was extracted to reuse as a rounded rectangular button in different places of the application. Avoids changing values in multiple single widgets. So again, if the button color was primary color, I don't have to change in multiple places. I just have to go to rounded rectangular extracted button, change the color, automatically applies to all the applications that depend on it. And changes to the button must always be done in extracted widgets and not the reused widget, because so this is the extracted widget. This is where the button code actually goes in. All the color, the styling, and everything goes in this widget. If I have any change in color, I come to this widget and I change the color. And this is the reused widget. So here I have specified color, but it's not a um, mandatory element here. So I can, if here, since I have not specified color, it is just going to take the default color value, which is, let's say, primary color or colors dot black. If a color is not specified, it's going to set the default value to colors dot black. So the first button will have colors dot black, and second button is going to have the color, a primary color. So yeah, the changes to the button must always be done in extracted widget and not the primary, not the reused widget. Now, what are the benefits of using design system? I hope you've got an idea of why we are using design systems. So it is to ensure consistency. Like I said, um, if there is no design systems, you have a widget in 10 different places in the application. Change the color, you forget to change in two places and change in the rest eight parts of the application. It creates inconsistent UI. And this is only for a color, but if it's an on tap functionality, then it's going to be an inconsistent UX also. So consistency will be maintained when we are using design systems, because you are going to change something in the extracted widget, and you don't even have to ensure if the change is applied to all the reused widgets, because it will be automatically applied. So it ensures the uniformity in UI elements, because you are not controlling if the change will be applied to the reused widgets or not. It is automatically going to be applied. Efficiency, because you can quickly assemble the UI elements using the reusable widgets. Like I said, if I want 10 different buttons in one screen, I don't have to write all the elevated button code. I just have to call a rounded rectangular button, just give the text and the color, and that is how I can quickly build my button. So the assembly of UI elements will be quicker because you already have them extracted in a file. Scalability, easy to maintain and update. Like I said, if after finishing the entire application, if there is a requirement to change the color, then it is possible, because you only go to colors.dart or extracted rounded rectangular button, change the elevated button's color, and automatically the change will be applied. So now that is just for the rounded rectangular button. But let's say if it's a text form field and you want a major design update there, then again, it's possible because you will have an extracted widget there. So, yeah, because since it's used in 10 different places, you have it extracted in a file and you just change it there. So, that way the system is scalable, because you have a good um, design systems structure in the application. Reduced maintenance costs reduces long term maintenance, because again, the need to only have to change in one place rather than having to change in 10 different places is actually going to save a lot of time and effort. And this is not just for the elevated buttons, but for many other things. It's for containers, and if you're having a table design in the application, then again it's of massive help, because if you're using the table design in 10 different places, then obviously the time to design or modify the table decoration is a lot. So you're going to save that time as well, and the modifications will take comparatively lesser time. So a quick summary. Design systems are they ensure to prepare a structure before yeah so ensure to prepare a structure before starting the project. So the first thing before you actually start the project is to have a clear understanding of design system and a clear structure of how you want your design systems to look like, because once you have the files set up, and if you want to keep changing, then that could be a bit inconsistent. So have a clear picture of how you want your design system files to look like, and then go ahead and create them. Less ambiguity in code when a new team member joins in, and that is because they just have to navigate to this folder, then just read through the files, and they will get an understanding of how the constants are, what the constants are, and what needs to be modified, where a certain element needs to be modified. Modifications to common widgets becomes easier again because we have an extracted widget and a reused widget. Modification is always done to the extracted widget that is only in one place, and automatically the reused widgets will have those changes. So the modification becomes a lot easier because you only modify one file. Separate files for common elements. So never mix up colors.dart with textiles.dart or with icon fonts.dart or constants.dart. Have a dedicated file for every constant. So for colors.dart, we have a separate file. This is because if you add all of them in one file, your file size is going to keep on increasing, and the addition or removal of certain elements will be difficult, and it will also start to look messy because you have so many things going on in one file. So, yeah, separate files for common elements. So, that was all about design systems. I hope you have got a better understanding. And so, yeah, if you haven't, and if you have any questions, then you can feel free to reach out to me. You can reach to me on Twitter or LinkedIn. You can just scan it with your phone and it will take you to my profile. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me and I will do my best in answering them. And the other one that I have is my Medium page and also my GitHub. And on my website, you're going to find all my Medium articles. So, yeah, thank you for watching. And please let me know if you have any questions. Any questions related to design system or anything in related to the files, you can always reach out to me. If you also did not understand how to create extracted widgets and the reuse widgets, again, I know it's tricky, but I'm here to help you if you need the more clear explanation. Thank you everyone for joining, and yeah, see you soon.